Recently, there has been quite the uptick of, well, at least in terms of funding, successful TCGs on crowdfunding platforms like Kickstarter and GameFound. One of the games that recently set a massive new record previously held by games like Sorcery Contested Realms is Altered by the French studio Equinox. Now, Equinox raised a whopping 6.2 million euros. This is absolutely mind-blowing if you think about it, given that it's a card game we're talking about. Well, let's look at what Altered is, how it plays, and what concepts it will bring to your table here on today's episode of Tabletop Goodness. In their own words, they are aspiring to address the pitfalls that the trading card game market has faced over the last 30 years. Yeah, bold claim. This is backed up, though, by industry visionaries like Régis Bonnecet, the creative mind behind games like Dixit, and the absolutely stellar deduction game Mysterium. At the core of Altered is a tug-of-war kind of concept, where you try to unite both your hero and companion in the middle of the so-called expedition track in the center of the table. This is done while constantly trying to outbet your opponent, striking a careful balance between being able to progress yourself and hindering your opponent's progress. What really fascinates me about this game, though, is that, albeit it being a TCG, there is no traditional villain that must be attacked, nor are there your classic, creature versus creature battles. The game mechanic is more about outsmarting your opponent by carefully considering which cards to play and when to play them. There are multiple different factions that can be played, and they all have the different perks, as can be seen on the so-called hero cards that will represent you on the expedition. For example, the hero Akisha and Taru can be exhausted, that means turn sideways, to pass the turn to the other player, essentially never having to go first, which can be very useful in that kind of game. The factions, I believe, are well chosen. You get a good assortment of mechanically, magically, and technologically inclined parties to play. You want to play a druid? Well, Altered got you. You want to be an artist? Altered got you there as well. The rules are simple enough to pick up, but offer enough depth and variety to not get repetitive, and they are well explained in a quick rules document and helper cards that you have on your table. But you can see there is a big QR code printed onto the cards as well, which can be scanned to look at further details about the card or add it to your digital collection. Certainly a neat feature, as you might very well know, it can be very distracting to look for FAQ documents mid-game. Now, let's look at the TCG element of the game, though. A deck in Altered can be made from cards in one of the many starter decks that are to be released, but also created via drafting from boosters. Yes! You got your usual chance of commons, rares, and uniques for some card types, as well as a chance to get a card from a different faction to be played in your faction. If you ever played Keyforge before, which also has seen its fair share on our table here, this is like their implementation of Mavericks. A very interesting feature in Altered is that uniques will truly be unique. These are algorithmically generated alterations of a card. For example, you might have a cheaper activation cost than the regular card, and they will not be found elsewhere in the exact combination of family, that's spells or characters, and stats. It's things like that that can truly give you an edge over your opponent's deck, and it's certainly a nice flex as well. One of the biggest announcements that I've seen so far is that there's also going to be a print-on-demand service where you can print multiple versions of a card that you own physically. Obviously, there will be a cost attached to that, and it's not known at this point in time, but this, I tell you, is quite the game changer if you're looking to complete the playset of a card or want to build a deck using more cards of a specific type. Finally, we have to talk about the art of Altered. Over 25 artists have been employed so far to bring the artistic vision of the game to life. You will see human, not AI-generated art on those cards, and man, they just look fantastic to me. I mean, just look at that art. Colors pop, the cards are vibrant, easy to read, and, at least for me, have the right amount of info on them. I have to say that it's a rather bold choice to include that big QR code on the cards, and maybe they will iterate on that, but it does address common pain points. And I'd say that's always a big plus. As of today, the Kickstarter is slated to deliver around July, with the official launch in retail stores around the end of August 2024. If you want to try Altered before it hits the stores, there is a fantastic digital version on Board Game Arena and a print and play option as well. I played quite a few rounds of Altered with my wife and we were immediately hooked. You can find all the links in the description below. Goes without saying that I went in on the Kickstarter, and I'm excited to show my haul once it delivers in a few months, and you can of course expect a proper box break as well. I will follow this video up with a review of some of the starter decks and factions soon, so make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss it. Let me know what excites you about Altered in the comments down below, and I will see you next time on Tabletop Goodness.